screaming, I'll cut it short. For the last 14 weeks, we had been studying Raja Yoga, which is the yoga of mental development. Today starts the first class of a series on healing, on pranic healing, to be specific. One of the major techniques we'll be touching upon, and you will hear, is a spiritual healing technique designed by Dr. George King. More information on that could be found online. He has a book called You Too Can Heal. So most of what you're going to hear stems from that book. A lot of it too is, comes from Nehemiah's upbringing and his teachings, which will give a better understanding to the teaching within You Too Can Heal. So I mean, in a nutshell, that's it. If you like the class, any of you here or anybody online, if you really like the class, it's not mandatory, but we do accept donations. We're trying to upgrade our technical equipment and all that, so video could be much better and much quicker and much fluid. So if you like the class, by all means, we do accept donations. And with that, I'll introduce Nehemiah. We'll get this started. Thank you.
Good morning. Put it to the video. Okay, this, for the next 4 weeks, we're gonna go over, what's the title?
It is,
Power of spiritual healing through pranic manipulation.
Okay. We're gonna go over that, and we're gonna go over I wanna focus on prana, on what is prana, and how it works. And then we'll get into the technique of healing. Okay? Who in here heard of prana before? And those of you who haven't heard of it at all? You haven't? Okay. Well, prana is, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Prana is an all-pervasive, subtle, cosmic energy that permeates the universe, or creation. I'm sure you heard of chi. Everybody heard of chi, right? It's the same thing. Except in the Hindu and the Buddhist, prana, it actually means absolute power. That's what it actually means. Okay. And it's the energy that makes up the whole universe. Go to the slide for what is prana. Prana is a universal life force of all things. Everything you can think of can be described as a modification of this prana. So everything is moved. If you see movement, prana is there. And the thing behind prana, which we'll get into later, is mind. Because mind is also a universal, it's also a universal energy as well. Most people think of mind as the mind in their head, but there's a universal mind that makes up the whole universe. So one of the two things you have is mind and prana, right? Mind molds prana. Okay? So, and this mind energy is a universal energy that all of us use. All of us use. Now, most people say, well, that don't make no sense because I have my own mind. You think you have your own mind, you, the soul, the spirit, is above mind, okay? The soul is above mind, see? And the soul is above prana as well. It's above mind and prana, okay? What is mind and prana to the soul? My old students.
It's mind and prana to the soul.
Yeah.
Vehicles of it.
It's what?
Vehicles, tools.
It's tools. It's tools. Okay? The soul is manifested by the spirit. The soul is manifested. It's not unmanifested. The soul is manifested by the spirit, and it is, therefore, it makes it above mind. Spirit, in our terminology, because I know in the Orthodox world, they make spirit and soul the same thing, and it's not. Spirit is a divine, what we call it, a divine spark of God, or the absolute. Because the better terminology for God is absolute, because it's absolute. So spirit is that part of you that have never left the God level. It's always a part of the absolute. It's always a part of God. But what spirit have did, spirit has taken a part of itself and manifested as soul. Okay? And this soul begins the journey of involution so that it can experience this manifested state, because spirit is unmanifested. Just like God is unmanifested and yet manifested. So spirit is unmanifested and manifested. Spirit is the background of everything. If we look at science, we notice that everything comes into manifestation, right? And it slowly deteriorates, right? What determined that deterioration? The oxidation of those things, right? How it decays, how it grows and decays. And what do they do? Let's say if we had like in Japan just recently, they had this huge explosion, this nuclear thing the plant that went out. What happened to the background area, the background radiation area of Japan? Huh? It went up, right? So the life expectancy of those people living under there is what? It went down. Okay. So if you look, spirit and soul is that background for all life. Okay? And all of this is dictated by karma. Okay? Who knows what karma is? Everybody heard of karma, right? Right? It's what? Huh?
The word cause and effect.
It's cause and effect. It's action. It's action on the what?
The law of God.
What?
The law of God.
The law of God. So everything works in a framework of what? Of law. See, all action occurs in this framework of law. Okay? So the spirit created the soul was given a framework of law to work with it. So the soul is limited by the laws of karma, like everything in the universe, even a sun, which is an intelligent being, even a galaxy, which is an intelligent being, is limited by law. It must work within the framework of law in which it is manifested on. Okay? Now, it makes sense when you think about it. So, because you have these different realms of existence, and each one of them are governed by a particular law based on the resources that's on those realms of existence. Okay? So that's what we want to get into. I know I'm running through this real quick so you can get some perspective of this. Now, when soul is created, soul is like a god. There's a part of you that's like a god. I mean, even in the Holy Bible, they kind of got that right. You know, I think it was Paul who said, "Ye are gods." You know, which is true. You know, but the reason why we don't realize this, the reason why we don't express our godlike power is because we don't realize that we are a divine spark of God. All right? And because of that, our memories is locked up. And we're born, we die, we go to the other side, whether it be hell or heaven, because there's many hells and there's many heavens, but we end up on one of them, and then we die from there, and we're reborn here again, you know, always making progress. Since you're human, go back and be an animal, that's not true. You know, most people think that if you believe in reincarnation, you believe you can come back as a dog, a cat, or cow. No, you won't. Your auric structure is too developed and too massive to shrink back into the body of an animal or whatever. Maybe a piece of your consciousness can, but you cannot. You have grown too massive, and you have too much self-consciousness to go back to an instinctive existence. Okay? So you die, you go to heaven or hell, you die there, you come back here, and you continue this over and over and over for countless lives until you get it right. Until you get it right. Okay? Until you get it right like maybe Jesus did, or Sri Krishna did, or Buddha did, where they ascended. You know, they went through the glory of ascension, and they left this reincarnation thing behind them. They don't have to reincarnate anymore. They have broken the wheel of rebirth, and now they operate as gods, really, to us, because we see them as that. Okay? So the thing is that what we want to do is understand how this works, so that we can understand that there's an abundance of energy out there, and that we can tap into this energy. Okay? And looking at the origin and power of prana, we need not go any further than this solar system, as far as we're concerned. And that's so true. The sun is the God of the Bible. It's the God of most Bibles, believe it or not. So we receive this tremendous power from the sun every second of the day. And it's really, really simple. Let me hold that eraser. It's really, really simple. And this is, it's in all the ancient books. You just gotta read it and recognize it for what it is. But I give you some key terminology so that if you are a student of these ancient books, you can see. You can see and understand it. But before I go into that, I want to show you the receptive points. Go to the slides, to the visual slide. These are, I list here the seven major chakras along the spine. All right? Now, you have 108 chakras in the body. Okay? Who in here heard of chakras? Everybody heard of chakras? Now, a lot of people, they look at chakras and they say, well, they have these weird ideas of what the chakra is. And they don't realize what I'm going to tell you now. The chakras, everybody realizes it to be some type of vortex center, right? Everybody heard that, right? Right? Some type of vortex center of power. But what most people don't realize is that before it's a vortex center of power, it's a vortex center of consciousness. Okay? Your consciousness, this is where your consciousness really resides, in the chakras. Your brain is only a receiving set. It's only a receiving set. It receives and transmits information and power, but it does this through what? Through the chakras. Now, the scientists came close to it because they said, if you go and touch something, if I touch this chalkboard to see whether it's warm or cold, then what happens? The signal goes up and down your spine before it registers in the brain. And why is that? Because your consciousness is in the spine, it's in the chakras. Now, the ancient texts would tell us that in each chakra there's a bindu, which is a supreme point of consciousness. And that bindu is the door to the all-knowledge space, it's the door to the soul, to contact unlimited amount of knowledge and power. That's what this bindu is, all right? And around the bindu, you have you have these bits of consciousness, right? Which are called what? You have the bindu.
Bijas.
And what?
Petals.
The petals, or bijas, right? And these are, this is the supreme consciousness, right? And these these are bits of consciousness. Which is all described and symbolized as what? What do they recognize them to be? Anyone?
Sound.
Sound.
It's a sound.
Because sound is consciousness in our terminology. Sound is consciousness. Anything that makes sound has consciousness. It expresses consciousness. Okay? So the more than anything, the chakras are levels of consciousness. Each chakra represents a level of consciousness. Okay? So this is where most people get it wrong. So if you learn that today, you moved probably decades above most people that study this subject. In the first chakra, the Muladhara chakra, the base of the spine, you have this thing called Kundalini. And Kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness. It's that vehicle of consciousness that spreads consciousness inside the auric structure to make you who you are. Okay? In other words, when the soul was directed by the spirit to manifest a basic level of consciousness and essentially create this thing called man or anything, right? Then, or any level of creation, the soul took this Shakti power and pushed it down Shushuna, which represents the spine, right? And it pushed this energy down in this little tiny conduit, and all the way through, past all the chakras to the base chakra, and there the conditions were right to produce Kundalini. Because what Kundalini represents is a dormant energy. That's what it represents. It represents a dormant energy. And 90%, over 90% of Kundalini is dormant. And only a small percentage is active. And that small percentage is that thing that radiates through your body to allow you to have movement. And it is a vehicle of consciousness because of that. Within the chakras, you have tremendous power. And kind of went over all of this, some of this. The Bindu release this nata, the sound vibration, which gives shape and motion to this mind, substance, and energy that's going through the chakras. Because what happens is when you touch that item to see whether it's cold or hot, right? And the signal leaves your fingertips and go down your spine and back up and register in the brain. What happens is that the information you get from that is released from your chakras. Okay? It's released from your chakras. If someone who was psychic was to look at your aura during that time that you're picking up that information, they would see some type of picture formation formed by your thoughts come out of one of your chakras, determining the degree of the level of knowledge that you gain from that. If it comes out of your base, or your sex, or maybe your solar plexus, then that shows the level of understanding that you receive from that particular chakra. If it come out of your heart, it shows the level, a more spiritual level that's that you receive. So in all thought forms are in picture form. That those subtle sound vibrations create pictures, and it's released. And in those pictures is tremendous knowledge, and it's released within the aura. So you will see it coming out of one of these chakras. So the chakra petals we talked about. You have one major chakra, BJ, which is the chakra petal for the whole. Because they realize that each mantra is connected to some level of consciousness, right? And they chant those mantras to vibrate the chakras. Because what it does, it calibrates the chakras. When the chakras calibrate, it calibrates the aura. When you sit up and chant mantra repeatedly, what happens is that it calibrates the chakras to a certain degree where it makes the aura spins around you. When the aura spins around you, it creates a centrifuge effect. Everybody know about the centrifuge, right? You throw a vial of blood in there, and you spin it around, it separates, right? Well, in your aura, there's a lot of contamination. You can imagine you go out during the daytime and you come into contact with all these and they clog your aura. You see all this crazy stuff on television, it clogs your aura. It deteriorates your aura. It places a lot of negativity inside the aura. Well, if you go and chant mantra at the end of every day, you'll release and burn up a lot of these negative thought forms that fell on you, because it creates that centrifuge effect, and it throws off some negative thoughts, and it burns up some negative thoughts. Okay, so that's why mantra is so sacred. They say that you only given the mantra by someone who the mantra have lived within. The mantra, in order to have a mantra live within you, you have to chant it many, many thousands of times. Okay, and that's why the correct way is to seek out someone who they have lived within, or the best place to get it from is a master of yoga who have mastered mantra. Okay, because when they give it to you, you receive a part of their kundalini. Okay, you receive a part of their kundalini when they give it to you. So that's and mantra, the power of mantra is guaranteed. That's how powerful it is. It's guaranteed. All right. So the chakra BJs and the chakra petals are actually rays that comes from the sun. Okay? You can imagine we got this sun, and it showers the whole solar system. And here is Earth, and let's say this is the moon, right? And what happens is these havoc rays bombard the solar system and our Earth, and it releases 360 rays are bombarded by our Earth. And you know we have our Earth have 360 degrees, and it hits each degree, and it bombards the Earth. Now, these havoc rays are absorbed by our chakras, okay? In fact, so that you know, go back to the slide. In fact, so that you know that the havoc rays are actually go back to the visual slide. Go to the next one. Let's skip this and come back to it. Go to the next one. Here. The havoc rays are actually what the scientists talk about is the electronic magnetic spectrum. This is what the havoc rays really is. Okay? Now, if you notice that in all the ancient books, you can go back 1800 to the 1700s, 1600s, 2000, thousands to 6,000 years ago, right? And you have the electronic magnetic spectrum, right? And you have the havoc rays. The sun is called a Mahabindu. It's this great, Maha means great, this great Bindu, this great point of supreme consciousness, right? And it releases these havoc rays. Those havoc rays are released are modified by the moon, which is also a Mahabindu, right? And then is further modified by the earth, okay? And then it falls down into, inside the havoc rays you have all of this, and probably much more, all right? Let's go back to the next slide that shows go back. No, back, not forward. Here, okay? What you have, if you notice, the same electronic magnetic colors, which was stated thousands of years ago, before mankind even knew about the electronic magnetic spectrum, you know? These colors was written down in the ancient Vedas and Upanishads, saying what each level, saying this is a red, this is an orange, it's a yellow, it makes up the rainbow, which is the electronic magnetic spectrum. Now, why? Because these are levels of consciousness. In the ancient teachings, they said that each one of these are levels of consciousness. In the base of the spine, you have 56 havoc rays that make up the base of the spine. All right? Those havoc rays create the realm of existence that you're here now. We're operating on 56 havoc rays. Combined, this realm makes up the base and the sex center mostly. All right? Those are earth, that's the earth realms. Okay? So within that you have 118 havoc rays, which is 118 realms. All right? That's divided among two major realms, which is the base of the spine and the sex center. Now, what does this mean? It means each ray is a frame of mind, is a level of consciousness that someone can operate on. The yogis state that in order to in order to raise Kundalini to the solar plexus center and actually become a yogi adept at the solar plexus center, you have to conquer, or you have to conquer 118 worlds. So that's what they meant. In other words, 118 levels of mind, of consciousness, you have to conquer. And why? Because at these levels, you'll find that most of the impurities that we face is at those levels. It's at the base and the sex center and even the solar plexus center. Impurities such as hatred, malice, jealousy, egotism, all rise from those levels. The levels of mind that's created at these levels harbor those type of impurities. So that's what you have to conquer, you have to overcome. So these rays bombard the earth and create the realms of the earth. Everybody understand what I'm saying so far? I'm not going over. Okay? Now, yeah, go ahead.
What did you say the petals were?
The petals,
Are they, like, for the base of the spine, does that mean 56 big rays?
no. That's a typo right there. Well, they are sort of petals, but they are part of petals. The petals are, where are the petals? Go back to the petals. There's four
at the base.
There's four petals at the base, right? But within those petals, those four petals control 56 tabic rays. Because the 56 tabic rays work through those petals. Go back to that. There's 6 petals at the sex center, and those 6 petals, those 62 tabic rays work through the 6 petals. Okay? Now, the upper chakras are the higher realms of existence, and the lower chakras are the lower realms of existence. Okay? When I say existence, I mean realms that's here on earth, right? Whether they physical realms or subtle astral realms. Everybody heard of the astral realms, right? Nobody? The astral realms are the heavens and hells of this earth. Okay? You have the astral realms, which makes up mostly hell, right? And you have some levels of heaven on the astral realms as well. But the etheric realms, some people still call the etheric realms astral realms. The etheric realms are the more advanced realms, where the more advanced people come from, or go to when they die. They go to the realms, the higher realms, which starts from the heart chakra up. All right. Everyone heard of astral projection? Anyone? If you haven't heard, so when you ever seen the cartoon where maybe, I don't know, it was Tom and Jerry or whatever, one of those crazy cartoons where they knock somebody out and then you see a part of them float up with the wings? That's the astral body. Okay? So it really exists. Now, scientists, even as recently as the early 1900s, have filmed the auric body, and they film parts of the astral body too with the Hertzian photography. And then they made all different type of tests, and you can go and study this stuff. These people would go and they would learn to project their astral body, and they would set up certain things in other rooms that they didn't see, and they would have them project and go to the next room or go to the next room 10 blocks down the road. And the person would come back and they would describe exactly what was there. Of course, government, CIA and FBI, they got into it. They call it remote viewing. You know, you can go and look that up. They release a lot of paperwork on it. That they actually took these techniques that was I mean, in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they did a lot of research on it, especially the psychic research out of England. They did a lot of research on it, and they, you know, and I mean, they showed how credible it was. So these things do exist. They was written down and given to us thousands of years ago, and now, you know, I mean, you can go and Google most of this stuff and you'll come up with something. It's there, okay? So each chakra represents a realm of existence and a level of consciousness. So if you radiate energy through these chakras, you should be able to change the mental, physical perspective of that person who's receiving the energy. It's just that simple. That's what I'm trying to get to. So if you had a technique to be able to radiate this energy in these main chakras, you can change the mental and physical perspective of that person you radiate the energy to. And that's the whole thing behind all of this. That is real. It's real. So to have a knowledge of what you're doing, I think is really important, because it exists. This energy exists. It's based on credible information, and it works. It actually works. Go to the next slide. There's 5 major pranas in the body. All right? When you receive this prana from the sun, the moon, and the earth, there's 5 major pranas, or formation of this prana, which is apana, which is the energy within the body that flows up. Prana, which is the energy that flows down from the heart, right? Or down from really from the heart and throat region that flows down. Then you have samana, which is the energy that centralizes in the solar plexus center or navel area, right? And then you have udana energy, which flows through the head, arms, and legs, right? And you have Vyana energy, which radiates from the sex center but flows throughout the whole body. And it's an orange color type energy. So these are the 5 major pranas. These pranas that flows in the body, they have different qualities, okay? And you can contact these pranas, and you can push these pranas out of you and into your patient. Now, each one of these pranas flows from the sun, okay? every 3 hours, they switch. So you have 3 hours during the day that the sun may push out a Vienna type quality, right? You have another 3 hours of the day the sun may push out a Prana type quality, right? The sun pushes this air with a sound vibration, right? This subtle sound vibration, this creative sound vibration is push out these tabic rays, these pranas, these mahabhutas, this mind substance, and that's what keeps us alive. That's what keeps us functioning. All of this comes from the sun. It's modified by the moon. It's modified by the earth in order to help us sustain our life here. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't. And we know now that the scientists have know that the moon does what? The mainstay of the moon does what? Level the ocean out. Other than that, we'll be underwater. We'll be sea creatures, right? So if the moon go away, the earth will flood. But the magnetic pull that the moon has on the earth, it levels out the water to allow the land masses not to be covered underwater. Most of the land masses. But also, if you think about it, our body is what? Mostly water. So it's also leveling off what? Us as well. All right? So the moon controls the mass of the earth, because why? Because it controls the level of water that we can see physically. But the mystics have said for thousands of years that the moon creates the mental worlds for us. It creates the mental worlds for us. So what does that tell us? It tells us that if you stop drinking water, if you get dehydrated, what's the first thing most people notice? Delirious. Huh? You get delirious and you lose consciousness. All right? So there again, scientists have proven that what the ancient yogis have said thousands of years ago, that mind controls prana. Right? Water is a mind substance. It feeds the mind. It feeds your ability to regulate your own mind. And the water this magnetic pull that the moon has, where it modifies these tabic rays and reflect them back to the earth, it creates the mental planes to allow us to function so that we can achieve the karmic position that we're trying to achieve in this world. So it all makes sense when you read and study these ancient teachings. It connects the dots. It doesn't just tell you to trust in God. It doesn't just tell you to be faithful. Because it's, faith, in order to be faithful, you got to have some type of perspective on something. You got to have belief in it. All right? And the belief has to be concrete, because faith is built on your works, on your ability to achieve. Yeah.
Maybe on the last slide where you broke down the tabic rays according to the chakras. So depending on what time of day that prana is being emitted from the sun is when you're supposed to try to work on those aspects of the tabic rays. You know what I mean?
No, not really. I mean, because the tabic rays are here anyway. But at that time, let's say you have let's say you have well, this is not a good representation. Let's say you have a stream of energy, right? It's coming to the earth, right? Vienna, let's say Vienna is the major energy at that time for those 3 hours, right? All the other pranas 1, 2, 3, and 4 is also within that rate. It's just that this is the dominant prana at that time. You understand? So it's it just switches up. It's the same thing with the Mahabhutas. Everybody heard of Mahabhutas? The Mahabhutas are Akasa, right? Vaya and all, Apas. It's a cosmic element of the universe, which Akasa is etheric space or sound, right? And then you have etheric air, you have etheric fire, or cosmic etheric fire, and you have etheric liquids, and then you have etheric solids. And this is what when the Absolute spoke the word, because it's even in the Bible, it said Absolute spoke the word and the word was God. It was actually talking about the great creative mantra that was released from God at the beginning of creation to create all the souls. Okay? So when that happened, this Shakti power came about from the spoken word. See? And then that power became available to the souls. But those powers had to be placed in this karmic, where they were placed in the karmic framework of creation when they came about. But there was principles that govern these powers, and those are the principles of Shakti, because the power is called Shakti. And from that came the Mahabhutas, which helped to create manifestation in space, in air, in fire or light, and liquids and solids. And these are ancient teachings. You just need to be translated in English, and it shows the same. I think that's where most of the scientists got their information from studying these things. Because they say it differently in different cultures, but everyone says the same thing almost. I think the Hindus and the Hindus get it. They get it. It's more scientific than any other culture. I think most other cultures take from the Hindus, since they wrote most of their stuff down 90,000 years ago. But so this is what I wanted to get. Go back to the 5 major pranas. So this is the flow. And after we clean it up a little bit, we'll put it on the web so you guys can just download this. These diagrams. I think this is already up on the web, isn't it?
Without the colors, just
Without the colors?
the black and white ones.
Okay. But these are the 5 major pranas within the body. So your body is a wonderful machine. It has capability that we haven't even begun to tap into. Okay? Go to the next slide. Next slide. This is what everybody gets wrong. Okay? So, this is the 4 states of sound. What time is it? Should I go into this? This is the 4 states of sound. Y'all want me to stop here or pick it up next week? Or you want to go on?
We've been on for about an hour.
Okay. It's up to the class. You want to go on or?
Yeah, man.
This is the 4 states of sound. The 4 states of sound is, remember I told you that the Kundalini releases this sound vibration from the base of the spine. Well, the sound vibration, the ancient, they named it. They had 4 states to it. And essentially, their first state of sound was a unmanifested sound. It was a sound that couldn't be heard, right? And that state of sound came from Kundalini, and it moved up past the sex center up into the solar plexus center. And there it made its first movement, okay? It created the first movement. At that point, the sound can be heard, okay? And it moved from here up to here, to the solar plexus center. And it was a state, the sound became the powerful consciousness. And it was a sound in the solar plexus center that radiated this energy. And what does the solar plexus center region do for us? It transfer energy, right? It takes raw energy and turn that raw energy into vital energy and mind and mental energy so that we can sustain our bodies, okay? The next sound that went to the heart chakra, all right? And this is where that energy, that level, that sound consciousness that's radiating from the Kundalini, it goes there and is given meaning. And meaning means that some type of intelligence signature is given to the this energy now. It infuses consciousness into it because the heart chakra is the seat of the soul. Okay, it's the seat of the soul. So from there, all the subtle bodies are formed. Your astral body, your pranic bodies, your etheric bodies, your mental bodies, all those bodies that's contained within your auric structure is formed. And from there, this sound vibration goes up to the throat center. And there, you can be encased in a physical growth body. And makes it possible. It's the fourth level of sound. From there, the growth vehicle can be reincarnated over and over and over again. Okay? We are fourth aspect beings here on this earth. Now, these are all the type of rays. These are the petals, the sound that represent that sound vibration. And each one of these talks, it gives you the Sanskrit name for that realm of existence that you're on when you contact these different sounds. These different realms of existence. It shows that the first 2 chakras are governed mostly by the etheric rays of the earth, which at that point they call it Agni, which is fire. Okay. The next 2 levels, the solar plexus and the heart chakra, are governed by the sun, right? That means that etheric rays come directly from the sun to those areas, and we utilize them. And the last 2, which is the throat and what I call the Christ chakra, the Christ center, is governed by the moon. Christ center, or the third eye. A lot of people call it the third eye. So this is the consciousness that's locked within the body, and that's how it came about. This is a brief description of how your consciousness is locked within the body, according to the ancient teaching. And here, the last, I show you, I don't know if you can see this, but this shows the 7 lower astral realms. All right, these are the basic general realms here, the astral realms too. And then these are the higher realms, which I call the higher etheric realms. So, if you ever heard of astral projection, if you ever did any type of astral projection, when you astral project, one of the things you notice is depending on which realm you go to, you have this feeling of either going down or going up when you come out of the body. And that is one of the reasons is because of the position of the realms. Okay? So you'll notice that if you ever astral project, if you ever get to the point where you can split your consciousness up and visit one of the lower heavens or higher heavens or lower hells or higher hells, you'll come out of your body, because you'll come out of one of the chakras, but you'll notice you're either going down or you're going up. And that's a perspective of it. So, any questions on this? Is it confusing? If it's confusing, tell me. So I try to explain it.
So from what I understand is that parasound was that first word that was spoken, and it was an unmanifested sound. And then it manifested into the 3 other ones,
Yeah.
and those are responsible for creating Kundalini.
No, not creating Kundalini. No.
This is after Kundalini.
Because Kundalini was already created. Remember, Kundalini is releasing the sound. If you notice when you start studying the ancient teaching of Kundalini, it says that Kundalini begins to sing the
Celestial songs.
The celestial songs. This is the celestial songs. Why? Because the celestial song, if we just go back to something simple as the Holy Bible, in Genesis it said God spoke the word. That's the celestial song. Okay? So the soul uses, remember the soul is using the Kundalini as a vehicle of consciousness. Because the soul is above consciousness. So it had to form this consciousness. And then the soul have the Kundalini, this vehicle of consciousness, to sing the celestial song from God, from the solar system, from the galaxy, from the universe. And this song is actually, we know, is a mantra. It sings the mantra, and what happens? It creates, it's able to release a part of itself as energy. Okay? And then that energy goes out and it formulates, the first level is the parasound, which is unmanifested because it's closer and nearer to its source. But as the song goes out, as the vibration goes out, it begins to take a hold of energy. It begins to mold and shape the energy and pull this energy into it and formulate the bodies that we need to exist on this physical and astral planes. Okay?
Is another name for the parasound thought?
Some people say paravak, but they're just making it more complicated, so but I think it's best said like this. Okay?
No, this is after manifestation, right? This is manifestation.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is not before.
It's not before that. But some people say Vok, Paravok, because now when you sing the celestial song, you're pulling on the same energy that was needed in order to bring about manifestation. Because Vok is the first spoken word by God. That's how they describe Vok, which is V-A-K. Okay, so, but and you'll notice this throughout all of these teachings. You'll notice that the nata energy or the spoken word or the mantra and all these things, it repeats itself on each level. So, any other questions?
The four aspects of creation, the four states of sound, are the same thing?
They're similar, yeah. They're similar. Now, they not.
I see they line
Of course,
up.
Dr. King goes into, Dr. George King, he goes into in greater detail
Mhm.
with the four aspects. But it shows that the ancient teaching backs up what he says, in other words.
Because each aspect lines up with each of the
It
states.
does. That's why he said we're four aspect beings. You know. Or that the adepts or the masters had to come in a fourth aspect. And this is the fourth aspect. Yeah.
Why does the throat chakra have the most petals and also have the highest category number?
Because the throat chakra is a chakra of purification. And it's the chakra that brings that the Christ center works from first. And it's the chakra that everything that goes to the Christ chakra has to be purified before it reaches the Christ chakra. So it's kind of like the central hub for the higher command center.
Consciousness?
Yeah. So basic consciousness, although basic consciousness is manifested here, right? But you can only move mental thoughts to the physical realm through the throat chakra.
That's the chakra where you express yourself. Right?
That's the chakra where you express yourself.
Where you govern your limbs, your
Everything. Everything. Everything has to be purified by common law in order to be expressed. It has to be shaped and molded by common law. So the throat chakra is the chakra of purification. Okay?
Which connects back to why you say a mantra in the first place.
Why you say the mantra in the first place? So, and then also is when you curse someone or you which all of us are guilty of. or when you use your hands in order to do something wrong or whatever, you know, the karmic repercussion is great because you just use a sacred center in order to do that. To not only manifest a thought, but you acted on it. You manifested the thought and then you brought it into manifestation. Because the throat chakra governs the movement of the legs, movement of your fingers, your hands, your arms, you know. So it's a purification thing.
Is the Udana, Prana,
Huh?
Udana
Dana, yeah.
moves through that chakra?
It moves through the head and arms and legs. It originates from the throat. Remember, consciousness, the only way we know who you are is through what? It's through your spoken word. So I mean, it proves itself. So that's, you know, that's why it has the most. And then everything, I don't think I mentioned it today. When when these sounds come up from Kundalini and go out, right? The fact that it went into Kundalini, you had the Shakti power, right? That the soul, which the Shakti power is also absolute power, but on a cosmic level, it operates. Everything is Shakti, really. But the Shakti power goes into Kundalini, right? It forms Kundalini. After it goes through the base, through the spine, which we call Shushumna, right? It's the spine. And it represents the spine in the physical body. But there's a Shushumna in the universe. Okay? Or in the galaxy or in the solar system. There's always, all of this stuff is represented right in the solar system as well. So here you have, when it goes here, over 90%, could be 98%, let's say it's 98%, right? Goes dormant, the power goes dormant, right? So the whole becomes the not whole, that's what they tell us in the ancient books. The sound, the celestial sound goes out, and this celestial sound creates a flow of energy called the nadis. Okay? These nadis, you have three major nadis, three major flow of nadis, because the nadis only mean the flow of power, the flow of energy. That's the only thing it really means, the flow of energy. And that flow of energy is these tiny tube-like lines of force that goes through the body, which the Chinese like to call the qi, and they use their acupuncture in order to block them and reroute them or whatever. But there's actually 41,000, or was it 42?
42.
42,000 nadi pathways. Okay? Now, but there's three types of nadis. And that is the Pingala nadi, the Ida nadi, and the Shushumna nadi. Okay? Now, this is a positive flow of energy. This is a negative flow of energy, and this is positive, negative, negative, positive flow of energy. Okay? Now, the Pingala energy is a vital energy. That's why it's positive. Ida energy is a negative flow of energy. Ida is a mental flow of energy. Okay? So, when you see the two petals at the top, where the those two petals, all the nadis, all these 242,000 nadis, they fuse together in two different pathways. Go up and down the spine, right? And they terminate at the two petals of the Christ center. All right? So you have these two forces go out, create 2,000 pathways, and then by the time they get to the Christ center, that the third eye, they come back together as two forces and connect to the third eye. Third eye, or the Christ center, is the command center for all the other chakras, for all 108 chakras. All right. So that's why you have the two petals there. All right. That's what that is. Go to another slide. Maybe we'll close up. This goes more into the sound, It explains what I just talked about with the sound. Go to the next slide. It comes here to those two. When this comes out, it actually goes out in, like I said, 242,000. 242,000. And I'll say this for next week, and we'll go deeper into why we use the hands for this type of technique. Because one of the things we do, we radiate the energy through the hands into the chakras along the spine. And it'll show you how the center, number one, the throat center is in control. That's the primary energy of that hand. And it's a purification energy. And we use that to radiate through our body into the patient at different levels of the chakra. Okay, so we'll stop here. Is there any other questions?
Is Shakti's power the same thing as prana?
Yes, the same thing. Prana is an aspect of Shakti. On a more commercial level, it's called Shakti. And then when you get it down to the solar level, it's called Prana. But it's still Shakti. It's an aspect. Everything is Shakti, really. Because from Shakti comes mind, and comes Prana. And it comes the love energy too. All right? Is there any other questions? If you don't understand something, just let me know. I can go into it. If not, then we can just close out.
Those of you online, again, like you said, if there's anything you don't know online, you can send us an email at mysticknowledgecenter@gmail.com. You can ask any questions you want on there. If you want to donate online to help us out, to upgrade our equipment, on PayPal, it's that same email, mystickknowledgecenter@gmail.com. We'll appreciate it. So today turned into Mystic Constitution of Man class, just as an introduction to go into the spiritual healing. So hopefully next class we'll go deeper into the techniques, which all this is used for. Thank you.
And what we do a prayer, and we get ready to close out.